All right, guys, I need you to watch this video before you proceed. I promise it's just going to take a few minutes of your time. And frankly, it might be the most important video that you watch for starting your land investing business, because either this will point you in the right direction, or at the very least, it'll help you avoid extremely painful and even costly mistakes. You see, I got started in land investing in 2019. This business has changed my life. I'm recording this March of 2025. These last 6 years, this business has done more for my life than anything else. And I owe pretty much all of my success to the land business. But the problem is that the land business, as it's been taught, is dead. It doesn't work anymore. What was being taught in 2019 no longer works. But the problem is the education in the industry has not caught up to that. Now, I won't say that the land business has done a complete 180, but it's done like a 90-degree shift. And yet, even with the 90-degree shift, there is still information that's being propagated by the vast majority of educators in the land investing space, whether it's free education on YouTube or extremely costly education through coaching programs or masterminds or courses. The information is antiquated. Now, I'm not here to disparage anyone. I would never point the finger at any one coach or educator or anything along those lines. But the problem is that this is an arbitrage-based business, right? And over time, when there's a lot of arbitrage, it starts to become more efficient. That arbitrage gets harder and harder to capture. And so the business model that's being taught of just send out some mail and some deals will come back to you doesn't work anymore. And so if you think about industries maturing over time, it's like the way to still collect that arbitrage is to increase skill. So the skill required to extract the same amount of arbitrage is higher, it's harder, it's different, it's completely different. This is something that I saw listed on an education website. And again, who knows what the context is? Again, I'm not here to point fingers. I don't think there's bad intent here per se, but this is patently false. And this is the kind of information that's being propagated. And this is why every single year, hundreds of people come to Leah on life support. I mean, their business is hanging on by a thread because they took information that might have worked in 1995 or 2001, but is no longer applicable. What this is saying here is that you can expect $15,000 of profit for every deal that you do with $500 of marketing spend. That's a 30x ROAS. I don't think in my life I've ever consistently achieved anywhere close to a 30x ROAS in my land business. And we've had hundreds of people that have gone through Leah where I've seen the back end of their businesses. I've seen their KPIs. No one is hitting these numbers. And this is where it gets even funnier. They're saying a 3 to 10% response rate on your direct mail. That is not true. That is false. That is completely false. If you want to see real KPIs, we'll talk about real results and we'll pull back the curtain here. I'll show you guys what you might be able to expect. But from a high level nuts and bolts perspective, if you are following the most sophisticated playbook for land investing, which is what we run in our own land business and what we teach inside of Leah, you might be able to expect somewhere around 1/5% of a response rate up to maybe 1%. Now, 1% is unbelievable. That is the upper echelon of what's possible. No one is hitting 3 to 10%, not consistently. Maybe a fluke every now and again, but even 1% is almost impossible to achieve over a long enough time horizon, right? But that's okay. We're not in the game of trying to have a huge response rate because we're optimizing for different things. We're optimizing for what's called ROAS. And ROAS is if I put $1 into my marketing, how much do I get on the back end, okay? Now they're implying a 30x ROAS. Again, that's just not true. There's absolutely no way. What we see inside of Leah is about an 8 to 12x ROAS. So $1 in, $8 to $12 on the back end. The problem is the amount of skill to get there. The skill that we need to have on our market selection, the skill that we need to have in terms of extracting the right kinds of data and removing all the wrong kind of data, the skill that we need to have on fracturing markets to find homogeneous pricing, to create accurate offers, the skill that we need to have to underwrite our deals, to negotiate our deals. It goes on and on and on again. I've spent the last 6 years trying to crack the code on this business, and I can promise you this business is anything but easy. And I don't mean to scare you off here, but I'm guessing if you're watching this video and you just downloaded a set of resources, you're probably new. And if you're new, you're probably going down the classic education YouTube podcast funnel where this business sounds like rainbows and unicorns and cupcakes, and it's not. Literally, we talk to at least a half a dozen or more people every year that are in the whole $100,000 in marketing. They racked up $50,000 in credit cards. They don't know how the heck to get themselves out of the hole that they put themselves into because they followed advice that doesn't work. right? And I think part of the issue is that a lot of the education is being taught by folks that don't even run a land business anymore. Now, again, I'm not pointing the finger at one person. This is a holistic issue in the land business. People begin educated and they say, ooh, this business is a little easier. The land business was too tricky. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't believe in that. Everything that we teach inside of Leah comes from the feedback loop of my own business. I am in the trenches every single day. We send out hundreds of thousands of pieces of marketing through multiple marketing channels every single month. We live and breathe this stuff. And it is my job, at the very least, to warn you before you take another step in this business that there are booby traps and minefields that want to blow you up, take your life savings, and kick your pants and get you out of this business. In fact, this cracks me up. They're saying in this example here that the average profit per deal for a house flip is $9,000, which seems low. I think it's quite a bit more. But they're saying that the marketing is $10,000. So they're saying that every house flipper is losing $1,000 on every deal they do. How can you trust this information based off of these implications? It's unbelievable to me. And yet, thousands of people a year continue to go through these programs, get slapped on the wrist, get spat out on the other side, and it breaks my heart. And so, again, a word to the wise should be sufficient here. So let's tie this together. I've kind of broken down this old way versus the new way. Now, there's a lot of information here. We're going to touch on this, but before we do, I feel like I need to tip the scales with some positivity. I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I am inherently an optimist, but I've seen too much. I've become a realist in the process of working with 400 plus people that have gone through Leah, because the average person that goes through Leah has gone through some other program first. They might still be beginners. Maybe they've never done a deal before, but they've tried their hand at some of the big name programs out there, and they come to us typically hanging on by a thread. And that's made me incredibly jaded about this business and jaded about the information that's being produced by the bigwigs in this space. And we're like a little renegade startup in Leah, right? We only allow 15 people a month to join Leah. It's small, it's tight knit, it is a family unit. And so we're like their little renegade army. I mean, we're barely tipping the scales. We're trying to do our part. And anyways, we're going to crack into this old way versus the new way. But let me tip the scales, okay? I want to go through, again, I'm recording this the 7th of March and 2025. These are all like literally from today or a few days ago or at most a few weeks ago. I want to go through some recent results with inside of Leah. I want to add a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of what is possible in this business when you have the right playbook, okay? This is a game of arbitrage. So if you're competing against 1,000 other land investors and 1,000 of those land investors are doing the same thing, there is no arbitrage, okay? We are arbitraging information. So if you're going through a program that 20,000 other people have gone through, there is no arbitrage to be had there. And that is why we keep Leah at 15 people a month, because the more people you let in, over time, you will disintegrate that arbitrage. Now, it would take thousands or tens of thousands of people, but we slowly stair-step our way because I'm keenly aware of, I make a living through this strategy, and so do the folks inside of Leah. And so I'm in the business of trying to arbitrage. But things change over time. Like what we taught 3 years ago, we don't really teach anymore. And so we are continuing to evolve inside of Leah. It is a living, breathing community and program. It's 300 plus hours of content inside of Leah, 30 plus hours of coaching calls spanning over 11 coaching calls per month. It's no joke. I mean, it is high intensity, high octane land investing education. So let's check this out. Kevin Huang. Kevin was actually working on Wall Street as a trader before he got into land. He went the common routes of going through other programs, trying to figure it out, didn't really click, and joined Leah about 6 months ago and has kind of been on a rocket ship ever since. Now, funnily enough, he feels like he's not on a rocket ship. He says, overall, I'm not going to the moon like many others who have shared here. No, Kevin, you are going to the moon. In January, he made $101,000 in profit from 3 deals. In February, he made $42,000 in profit from 3 deals. He picked up 2 new deals in February, adding $70,000 in profit to his pipeline. And this past week alone, he's picked up a buy for $100,000, sell for $200,000 with $85,000 in net profit on 1 deal. And he just started deal funding in Q4 2024 and has already have about $100,000 to $150,000 of profit from funding deals directly out of our community. There are literally hundreds of deals per week that get funded inside of Leah. And that's one of the beautiful things is that we've created a network of funders to fund our members' deals. And that's why you have people like me that started with $7,000, or people like, we'll go through some examples here, like Anthony Reese that started with less than $10,000. You can start with a small budget if you've got the right playbook and you've got a way to fund your deals. We'll talk about that here in a second. Here's Cole Sundem. Cole is working at an agency as a marketing manager, joined Leah exactly a year ago. He's already moving to Costa Rica to build his dream compound. Just a year in this business. He says, thank you, Sumner Healy, for this awesome community. I've made such great connections in this group, and it's so awesome to be able to surround myself with like-minded people that have vastly accelerated my business. I tell you from the core of my heart, it's one thing to have the right playbook. It's another thing to have the right playbook with the right community. I mean, there are literally hundreds of meetups per year that spin off out of this community with people getting in person and connecting. It takes a village because this is difficult, okay? If you're seriously considering getting started in this business, please understand that this is not a cakewalk. If you want to change your life and have the access to making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, of course there's going to be pain and punishment along the way. It is not easy. And so it takes a village to support each other. A rising tide lifts all ships. And I think that is one of the greatest assets inside of Leah is the community. It is so strong. There's just nothing like it. Here's Kirsten. Kirsten runs his business with her husband, John. They've got their third baby on the way, coming in 5 weeks. Is pretty awesome. She just landed her third six-figure deal just this quarter. So $300,000 of profit just from 3 deals. Again, they've done multiple deals outside of that in this last quarter, but 3 six-figure deals. That's $300,000 in profit from 3 deals in 3 months. That's what's possible with the right playbook. I promise you, if you go and look at other educators, ask them, show me the results, show me the proof. They might have a few outliers here and there. But if you walk into pretty much any main land investing event nowadays and you pull the room, the average person in there is going to be a Leah member. I mean, it's like when we go to these events, it is a crazy percentage in terms of who's in those rooms that's actually running this thing as a business, like a high octane, legitimate business, not a side hustle, not you do one deal every 6 months. Talking about a legitimate business. Now, they bought a 5.8 acre property on a river. I won't go through all of it. It's pretty awesome. Here's another one from Kirsten going through those 2 other deals, those 2 other six-figure deals that they picked up. I mean, these are big six-figure deals, right? Buy for $72K, sell for $180,000. She got another one that she bought for $61,000. Listed at $199, sold at $250. It's $190,000 in profit, and they sold it in 1 week. It was on the market in 2 days, and they closed like that with a builder, which is pretty amazing. Here's Josh Pierce. Josh just hit his 1-year anniversary in Leah. He joined March of 2024. He was a fitness coach before this, right? No real estate experience, obviously no land experience. They just hit their first six-figure month in February. And to think that he closed on his first deal on the 5th of March last year is pretty unbelievable. All in less than a year to hit his first six-figure month. I won't go through all of the wins. There's a lot of wins in there, but Josh is someone to look out for. This guy's a real operator building a real business, and that is what we do inside of Leah. We are not land investors. We are not land flippers. We are land entrepreneurs. We build businesses, high leverage businesses that pay dividends for the rest of your life, that give you freedom because you're creating something that has leverage. And that is the part of the art of what we do. You know, inside of Leah, we master the playbook, okay? Let's say it's within 6 months, it's a 12-month program. You master the playbook. That's all skill-based. Thereafter, you master the process of building leverage around that skill, because ultimately what we're optimizing for is a life of freedom. I don't know about you, but making money is not the goal. It's how you make that money. I want freedom. I'm recording this from Bali, Indonesia currently. I want to have the luxury of being able to live where I want, travel when I want, travel how I want, with who I want, and work when I want. And I know that's cliche and everyone talks about it, but inherently just buying and selling land does not get you there. You need to figure out how to create leverage through automation, delegation, and elimination. And if you're not being taught those things and you want freedom, you're going to a dead-end path. Okay? I get passionate about this stuff because it infuriates me, but also inspires me at the same time. Here's Corbin Garcia. Corbin is 20 years old. This guy can't even buy a beer yet. And he just had a heck of a month here in February. He locked up 2 contracts, buy for $18,000, sell for $40,000. Second one, buy for $29,000, sell for $70,000. He actually got a third one, buy for $4.7K, sell for $30,000. That came from 4,600 mailers. What's funny is initially those mailers looked like they were gonna flop, but he's able to turn it around. And that's the beauty of having a bulletproof acquisition process. And he's got another deal that he's getting under contract right now. Buy at $170,000, buy sell for $300,000 to $400,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. To be 20 years old and to have access to doing this is insane. When we've had folks that join Leah at 18 years old that have built multiple six-figure-a-year businesses. Hell, some of them don't even live in America. We had a guy in Poland at 18 years old join Leah. There's really no age limit. We've got people inside of Leah that are 70 years old plus. It is about the right information at the right time with the right coaching, with the right hand holding to get you to where you want to go. Here's Dylan Kamali. Dylan found us years ago through TikTok, who's actually working for a real estate investor within their business. He had all the skepticism. He's like, dude, this sounds too good to be true. He joined one of our beginner programs through TikTok, ended up joining Leah a few months ago, and it's been on a rocket ship ever since. On the buy side, buy for $50,000, sell for $130,000, buy for $18,000, sell for $60,000. On the sell side, he just bought one that he sold for $44,000 and bought it at $24K, and he sold another one that was a buy at $24,000, sell it for $45,000. That last one took a while, right? That last one took 223 days. And sometimes we do get skunked in this business. We try to optimize for high STR markets with the right level of supply. But even if you do everything correctly, occasionally we do have to hold deals for quite some time. So imagine if you're not doing everything correctly. I've seen folks that buy a portfolio of properties that they can't move in 18 months. Again, this business has changed on every level. The kinds of markets that we should be working in, how we're marketing to sellers, how we talk to sellers, how we structure our deals, it's all changed. And if you're taking information from 1995, it does not work anymore. Here's Nick Stolley. Nick joined Lee a little over a year ago. He started with a beginner program, $2,700 what he paid to access that program. We've since moonlit that program. It's no longer available. He turned $2,700, and in February, he made $102,000 in profit. That's what's possible. The Nick is a young cat, man. Nick is in his early 20s. You can start with next to nothing and have the right playbook and a hell of a lot of grit to get you where you want to go. What's cool is, see right here, Nick just locked up another deal to buy for $375,000, sell for $850,000. That's right under $500,000 of profit in one deal for a dude that's not even anywhere close to being 30 years old. People don't even make that in like 5 years of being in a job. Like that's ridiculous. I mean, some doctors don't even make that annually. The dude landed that in one deal. Here's Mike V. Mike comes from a construction background. Again, no real estate investing experience, no land flipping experience. Joined Leah a year ago. Just cleared $50,000 of profit on this deal right here. This dude has been beasting, okay? He came in with so much intention. The guy has never missed a coaching call. He's been so serious about this business, and he's got a very strong why. I won't get into it, but the guy's just an amazing family man. His family is his why. This guy has worked his tail off and executed everything that we teach to a T, made multiple six figures in his first year. He's just an absolute all-star and someone who I really appreciate. Here's Gary. Gary was a wholesaler, okay? He was running in the whole like single family home wholesale world. Joined Leah a little over a year ago, probably coming up like 14 to 16 months. And in January, in 10 days into the month, he added $130,000 of pipeline profit to his business from 4 contracts in 10 days. And he's on the road to hitting 7 figures this year, which is pretty awesome. Here's Joe. Joe joined us a year ago. They just cleared $450,000 in profit in their first year with us. And they just landed the biggest deal of their life at the beginning of this year in January. Buy for $190,000, sell for $285,000. They've had many ups and downs. Again, like you see $450,000 in profit, you say, oh my God, that's amazing. Well, you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. These guys have worked their tail off. Here's Ed. Ed was running in other land investing circles. Again, joined Lee about a year ago. Just landed a sweet little bread and butter base hit. Buy for $17,000, sell between $30,000, maybe a little under $30,000, somewhere in that territory. Look, that's a lot of what we base our business off of. We play what we call the mid-market strategy. Those kinds of deals often look like, you know, $20,000 profit, $15,000 profit, $25,000 profit, boom, $100,000 profit, boom, $200,000 profit. Because we play in the right vertical and land, we get exposure to the big deals that we acquire essentially for free because we're profitable off of the base hits. So we build our business off the base hits, but because we're in the right vertical, we also land the big deals from the same marketing. The problem is a lot of what's taught out there never exposes new land investors to big deals. Very few land investors have ever landed a multiple six-figure deal. Inside of Leah, it's a yearly occurrence for almost every single member. And a lot of that is dictated by the markets that we work in, the price points that we work in, the kinds of deals that we work in, the kind of offers that we make, and how we structure our acquisition process. Okay, those deals they don't just happen by sheer chance. There's a method to the madness to have exposure to those. Problem is you can't really build a business around going after those deals individually. It's very expensive from a marketing standpoint. So we've developed a system to where we can be profitable on the front end with the base hits and also acquire the big cash flips, 6 figures plus, essentially for free because our cost of marketing has already been covered plus some. Here's Ben, 3 contracts in 3 days. Pretty damn awesome. Preston's a great example, man. Preston joined Leah. I love Preston's story. He had exited an e-commerce business, was kind of looking for his new play. This was about a year ago. And stumbled upon land, kind of got like the googly eyes syndrome with land. It's like, oh my God, this looks so easy. This is like the easiest money I've ever made. So he joins Leah and he struggles. He joins Leah and he eats crap. It's not working. It's not clicking. It's like, what is going on? Preston and I had a heart to heart. I'm saying, Preston, the issue here is you are drawing outside of the lines. Inside of Leah, we've got a framework that we call surrender to the system, okay? We have truly a business in a box, a plug and play system that you must surrender to in your first year to 2 years. Beyond there, you can start to iterate and get cute. I'll show an example of someone that's done that. But in the beginning, it's about surrendering to the system, the step-by-step process that we teach. And so the second we got him back on track, and for those that are curious, his issues were around acquisitions. The second we pulled that back in, got that back in track to what we teach, he's been on a rocket ship ever since. January 2025 is his first 6-figure profit month. That's crazy. Less than a year in, 6 figures profit in January. And again, this is the guy that spent his first 4 to 5 months inside of Leah struggling. He was going backwards, not forwards, not standing in place, going backwards. And that's the power of coaching, right? In a vacuum, it's very easy for folks to kind of lose sight of the education and start doing their own things and coloring outside of the line. And that is why community and coaching is so important. We track all of our members' KPIs so we can witness what's going on in their business, so we can help course correct when things start going off the rails, which naturally they will. Here's a gentleman that has been able to color outside the lines. You might recognize his name, Rylan Loader. He is a coach inside of Leah. He joined Leah when he was 19 years old. They're doing multiple 7 figures a year in profit in his business. That's in 5 years, from 19 to 24 years old. He shared this win while he was ripping a 16-hour first-class international flight to go hang out with some friends in Australia. And he's closing land deals left and right, all remote. In fact, Rylan just launched a Leah land house in Scottsdale, Arizona. He bought a $2 million beautiful house in Scottsdale and got a bunch of our members from our community to move in with him. And they're just building, growing, grinding, scaling, all that stuff together, which is pretty cool. Last thing I'm going to leave you with here, and again, I could go with on this stuff for days and days and days. I won't bore you with it. This is not a financial win, but frankly, it's something much better than that. Here's a bunch of our members meeting up in person. Like I mentioned, this happens a couple times per month at this point. I mean, I get text and Discord notifications of people getting coffees together, doing dinners together, doing meetups together, doing events together. And it's just so cool to see, going to this event is really what got Jerry in the door, or what got Mike in the door to begin with. Sorry, he's meeting up with another member named Jerry. And that's the beauty, man. Leah is like a family. And I know that's trite and potentially cliche, but once you're on the inside, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is the most special community I've ever been a part of. And frankly, I feel like I don't even have a lot to do with it. Like somehow that has just happened and it's unfolded in this beautiful way. So that's kind of to tip the scales on the pessimism, right? Let's talk about the old way versus the new way so you can get a little more context. I don't want to just leave you with a bunch of fluff. I want you to actually be like, oh, okay, I see the disparity, right? And when you go and interview other programs or coaches or what have you, you need to grill them on where are you operating in? Are you operating in the old way or are you operating in the new way? Because the truth is, nowadays, it's a prerequisite to get educated in this business. Now, I don't care if you go with Leah or you go with somewhere else. This business cannot be run without education. It's become too complex. It would be like trying to become a lawyer without education, like trying to become a doctor without going to college. Back in 1995, sure, you could send out some mail and stumble upon some deals, and I don't mean to fearmonger, but that business is not that anymore. Watching some YouTube videos is not the price to admission. The game has changed, and there's still a lot of opportunity here. It's very much as real estate, as it relates to real estate, it is still a blue ocean, but the barrier to entry has risen, which ultimately has been a good thing, because I've found that there's more opportunity than ever, because most folks are not willing to pay the price of admission, or They're going off of antiquated information and wasting their money. And there's just a boatload of opportunities for the folks that have the right playbook. Let's talk about the old way. Now, there's many nuts and bolts in here. We're going to give you the top-down view, okay? We could go granular on each one of these points and literally probably spend an hour per point. Old way, little attention to market selection, focused on deals typically between $3,000 to $30,000 in exit price because they're very easy to acquire, but they're very hard to dispo, and you never give yourself access to the bigger deals. The problem, how you go after bigger deals, looks nothing like what's taught in the old way. It's completely different. No acquisition process or very little acquisition process. If you ask a coach, hey, what do I do on the 14th day when a lead has been in my CRM and they haven't picked up? Hey, what do I do after I send a contract? Hey, what do I do in terms of a renegotiation situation? Hey, what do I do when I can't cash close a deal, but I need to move it over to a double close? What do I do? Ask them this, grill them on this, okay? Most of them will have no answer, not focused on ROAS. In fact, they probably couldn't even tell you what the ROAS is for themselves or for their community because they're one-dimensional land flippers. They're thinking about acquiring deals on cash and selling them for cash or selling them for owner finance, selling them on Facebook, selling them on land.com. That game is broken. It no longer works. Typically, these business owners have no team or no leverage. Maybe they have a VA or two, but if you ask them, hey, I'm 6 months in, what hire should I make? I'm 12 months in, what hire should I make? I'm trying to go from $1 million to $3 million. What hire should I make? They have no blueprint for it because they've probably never done it. That is the difference between Leo. We are optimizing for building a true land business. We're land entrepreneurs. I'm not in the business of flipping land. Like, that's a small piece of what we do. I'm in the business of building businesses, and it looks very different than what has been taught previously. Heavily focus on dispositions, right? The old way thinks that the value's created here. When you look at this funnel, they say we focus on the bottom of the funnel because their P brains think, but the P brain thinks, oh, well, that's when I get paid, so that must be when the value's created. No, the value's created actually at the top of the funnel. So we create value initially by figuring out markets that we call honey holes where there's high levels of demand with the right supply metrics, with the right pricing metrics that no one else is thinking about. That's why we track every single zip code in every single county in the US, because over time, and it moves, it's like a puck that flows across the country. Demand is like a little snake slithering through the US, and it's your job to figure out what are the non-obvious honey holes because there's arbitrage there. Again, we're just arbitraging information in this business. And the value is created through acquisitions, okay? Acquisitions is knowing how to have a process to extract the most number of pickups, the most number of verbal offers, the most number of contracts, the most number of signed contracts. Acquisition also looks like the skill that we have on the phone to negotiate and to structure deals to where we're solving the seller's problems. There's many ways inside of Leah that we structure deals. We're not one-dimensional because a lot of seller situations look radically different. If you're one-dimensional, they're going to move on to someone else that's three-dimensional that can actually solve their problems and even understand what their problems are. And that takes skill to glean that from sellers. We think about the 3 whys. We'll talk about that at a later date, potentially. Ultimately, the outcome of this business is they typically cap out at $15,000 to $25,000 a month. They risk burnout because the business owner literally does everything in the business. It's a one-to-one input to output relationship. That's a terrible place to be. I put in one input, I get the same output on the back end. I want leverage. I put one thing in, I get 10 things in on the back end. That's what we're optimizing for here. The reason that these businesses rarely scale over $15,000 to $25,000 a month is to do that, they would need to sell an unbelievable number of deals. It's very difficult to do that. It's much easier to go sell 2, 3, 4, 5 deals a month that make you 200 grand in profit, right? High volume businesses create friction. The other problem with this business model here is they almost never get huge injections of capital from liquidity events. So if you're constantly making $4,000 on a flip, $2,000 on a flip, you never get that big surge of $100,000 hitting your account, $500,000 hitting your account, to where then you can afford to grow the business. We can scale marketing, we can bring on more team members, we can create better systems through automations, we can afford better software. You need those infusions of capital unless you're just starting off unbelievably rich. But even if you're starting off unbelievably rich, why would you allocate your funds to the old way that does not work as well? Or in fact, in some cases, doesn't work at all relative to the new way. Let's talk about the new way. This visualization really defines it all, right? It's where you focus in this funnel. The new way is mastering the top of funnel, which is market selection and acquisitions, really at the core of it. There's other like side points that sit nested underneath those, but that's kind of the hierarchy. And that is why inside of Leo, our system is so obsessed with market selection and acquisitions. We have hundreds of hours of content that covers this because for a new land investor, that's the lifeblood of success. Now, to get to $1 million a year looks a little different, right? But when you're just starting out and you want to make a $250,000 income, market selection and acquisitions is the lifeblood. That's what's going to get you there faster than anything else. And so you need to know what to eliminate, what to not think about, and what to think about. Dispositions doesn't really matter. Going to put very little attention there. We've got a system that streamlines that, but market selection and acquisitions is where the value is really created. We focus on mid-market deals between $25,000 and $250,000, give or take plus or minus a little bit as an exit price. We focus on ROAS. We're optimizing for ROAS in everything that we do. 10x plus, $1 in, $10 out. That is what we're optimizing for. We do what we call three-dimensional land flipping, cash flips, double closes, novations, owner financing, you name it. We're looking to take down deals where we're solving the seller's problem and unlocking deals that other people aren't able to unlock. And there's so much value here just by being 10% better than someone else. It's so simple. You just have to go put in the next 6 months to a year to get slightly better than everyone else. And in that domain, it's a blue ocean. If you're playing the old way, it's a bloodbath. It's a red ocean. And I know because I cut my teeth in that world. I cut my teeth in that world until it stopped working. But the problem is it's still being taught as if it does work. We focus on the three-part framework of leverage: eliminate, automate, and delegate. I won't get into all of that, but ultimately we're looking to optimize for an asset that serves us. Our business should be an asset. We don't work for the business works for us, and it provides freedom. I don't know about you, but that's what I want. Minor focus on dispositions, right? We have a framework for how we select the right realtors to list our property, and we watch it sell in record time, and typically we watch it sell for even more. Now, there's a method to the madness. It doesn't mean that we just go and select a realtor. It's about finding the right realtors in the right markets to take on a listing. Outcome of this business. This business typically caps out around $150,000 to $400,000 a month. Yes, there is a cap even to the model that we teach. I don't know any land investor running this model doing $1 million a month or $2 million a month. I haven't seen it. Typically about $400,000 is where I've seen it really starts to cap out. This is a great cash flow business. It's probably not a great business to get you to $50 million a year. In fact, I know it's not a good business to do that. Risk of burnout is very low because the business owner has moved into the role of simply approving markets and deals from the team. You move into the role of a true CEO. Again, people always say that, but very few people know what that means. I run a team of 30 plus people. I've learned through the school of hard knocks what it means to actually sit in the seat of a CEO and what that looks like. And it's a skill set that's not being taught out there. And the fact the foundation is often not even being laid to give people the opportunity to get there. Okay. Okay. There's going to be a button down below. I could talk to you guys about this for hours. And if you guys want to learn more, click the button down below. Look at you just I'm here for you to follow along with what we're doing. If this resonates, cool. Hop on a call. We'll show you the kit and caboodle. We'll show you the A to Z of how we're doing this. If it resonates, you can say, cool, I'll work with you guys inside of Leah. Or you can say, I think I'm going to try this on my own. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but I don't gatekeep, right? If you guys want to figure out the 30,000 foot view of how we do everything, we'll go through it. In fact, on this call, we have a giant presentation whiteboard thing that looks like this, where we'll get in the weeds with y'all. Okay. So I hope this helps. Schedule a spot down below, or you can just go to landinvestor.co/apply and hope to see you there. Cheerio. Take care of yourself.